Ethiopian eunuch who went into Africa. All right? Mark chapter 8, verse 38. That was one person going into Africa, first committed Christian. The next point that we want to talk about is the household. Household was also baptized. Baptism can be administered to members of the household, according to Acts chapter 16 and verse 15. Let's go there quickly. Acts chapter 16 and verse 16. Sorry, Acts 16, 15. 16, 15. There we are. And it says, when she and the members of her household were baptized, she invited us to her home. If you consider me a believer in the Lord, she said, come and stay at my house. And she persuaded us. This is, talking about, we go back a little bit and we capture the whole story. It is the story of Paul's vision of the man of Macedonia. And then go on to Lydia's conversion in Philippi. A lady by the name called Lydia, who was ministered to by Paul, and she accepted the ministration. She believed in what she was told she wanted, and she accepted to be baptized, her with her whole household. You see, when she and the members of her household were baptized, she invited us to her home. If you consider me a believer in the Lord, she said, come and stay at my house, and she persuaded us. So that is another, issue of the baptism about whole household. And then Reverend Junisa will go further to qualify the fact that if a whole household was baptized, what is stopping that household? What is stopping that household to have an infant in that house to be baptized as well? So I'll stop from there for now, and I'll hand over to Reverend Junisa.
Yeah. Apart from that baptism that Canon had spoken about, we also have another baptism where a whole household, I think we have a caller.
No, we have not yet opened the telephone lines. Go ahead, sir.
We have a whole household baptized. It's the encounter of of Paul and Silas. Mm-hmm. Remember, they preached the gospel, and the people did not like it. They preached about Christ, and the people did not like it. And so they arrested them and put them in prison. And we are told that while they were in prison, an angel of the Lord came and opened the prison at midnight. He says, Acts 16:25, at midnight Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God, and the other prisoners were listening to them. Suddenly there was a violent earthquake which shook the prison to the foundations. At once the doors were opened, the chains fell off. Paul and Silas became free. They were set free. No chains on them, no locks on the doors, and this jailer came around and said, hey, what shall I do to be saved? In those days, if you had somebody put in jail and you were to guard that person, if that person escaped, you were put into the prison. And so when this jailer saw that Paul and Silas were free, he thought they would run away. Unfortunately for him, they did not. They did not. Instead, they continued preaching the gospel to him, and he was so gratified. He took Paul and Silas home, washed the wounds, kept them clean, and he said, look here, you know what you should do for me? Baptize me. Don't baptize only me, but baptize all my household. Mm-hmm. Again, just as Canon said, if baptism was done for the household, surely there were children in that household. A household is not made up of only adults. A household is not only made up of adults. And so Paul and Silas got the whole household baptized. These are passages of Scripture which give us very, very good, which give us good proofs that children should be baptized. Some people say it's not in the Bible. Well, here today we have given you quotations from the Bible. And as the disciples went about, they also continued preaching and baptizing people. We have a whole book called the Acts of the Apostles. We haven't spoken about all the baptisms that took place in the Acts of the Apostles.
Yeah.
We haven't spoken about all the baptisms that took place by the apostles. But these two, at least, will prove that it is true that baptism for infants is correct. It is in the Bible. Those of you who say it is not, it is. Read these passages of Scripture and you'll find out that the Bible does say so. And so, why do we continue baptizing children? Well, the church knows that children are born. And every child is born with a soul, a body and a soul. So when a child is born, he's got those two parts of him, the body and the soul.
Yeah.
The body belongs to this world, but the soul belongs to God. The soul is that better part of us. And the church said, well, even at that point, you want to save the child's soul. You want to introduce him into the family of God, even at childhood. In Christianity, we introduce our children into the household of God to grow among people, to stay with people. And so, even when the child is born, young as she may be, though she doesn't understand anything, she is baptized, he is baptized, because he has a soul which, if he dies and he is not baptized, that soul might not get into heaven. So, children are therefore baptized. The church says, bring the child at its early age into the family of God. Now, there are many practices.